Because it's a miracle to have a relationship this long. You know, a lot of marriages don't last this long. You know, some family relationships don't last this long, and I think we've hit that point where we kind of hopefully have the right mixture of respect for each other, but also we can rip the piss.
Hey guys, what's up? You're watching Diffuse and I'm very honored to welcome Biffy fucking Clyro in our studio today. How are you guys?
Hello. Great, Lena. How are you doing?
Thanks.
I'm good, thank you. Last Friday you released your 10th record already, Fatigue. Congratulations on that. I think it's a very great record. Yeah, but how do you feel about it? How is the feedback so far?
We feel great. We feel great. The feedback's been good, hasn't it? I always say it's like having a secret that you want to share with the world, and now finally we get a chance to share it, and it's just the most exciting thing. You know?
It's liberating once it comes out, because all the fans have up until that point is us talking about it, and when you talk about music, you end up ruining the music. So it's really great that people are just connecting with it this week, and we can feel like the first part of the job is done. So yeah, it's a beautiful feeling. It's a long journey when you make a record, so it feels real now.
I'm even more honored to interview you guys on that one, because this is your Berlin record, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Home from home here. We love Berlin.
You love to make your records in California, right? A lot of records. But why was it Berlin this time?
There was a couple of reasons. The first one was the last thing we did before the pandemic was we did an acoustic session at Hansa. And then like the next week, the whole world closed down. And we always had that in our mind that it was a kind of unfinished business for Hansa. We've also never done a European record. And when we discussed it, you know, we've worked in London a little bit, but the only place we talked about really was Berlin, was Hansa. We've got a couple of friends that have recorded there, and it's just the history of the studio. And to be honest, we normally do a West Coast American type record where we sit around in our shorts and our flip-flops and feel amazing. And actually we wanted it to be a wintry Berlin city urban record, and the city fed us very well, socially, spiritually.
The only problem was I packed all my shorts and t-shirts, and the first thing we had to do was go and buy gloves and hats and jackets, because it was so cold. I remember that.
We thought we'd walk from our apartment to the studio, which ended up being about 5 miles, I think. And I had no jumper, I had a jacket that didn't close properly, no gloves.
It was
and
cold.
I almost died of frostbite the very first day.
Berlin winter is not for the weak.
It's not. We thought we're tough from being from Scotland. We can handle this Berlin winter.
But we've been coming to Germany for a long time, and Berlin especially, but to live here, and not just sort of work here, but to live here and drive around and get to know the place. It kind of made the place feel, I mean, it's a huge city, but it made it feel a little smaller. Yeah. And today, when we've come back, it's really nice to see all the little hot spots that we used to frequent and feel a part of the city, I guess, you know.
It's your area where we're here.
I know, we stayed just a few streets over, actually.
Yeah, you already mentioned the legendary Hansa Studios. Is like this spirit, this legendary spirit, can you really feel that when you work in there? Was it a dream of yours to go there and do a record there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's all the footage you see over the years of Bowie in there, Depeche Mode, Nick Cave, you know, like it's very much a part of like music education for us, you know, so we've been very aware of it for years, and when you step into that live room, that big wooden room, I think now they give degrees in classical concerts, so much less cocaine and speed and like, you know, ripping up the floorboards. But there is a magic in the walls. The engineer that works there has been there for 40 years, so he had lots of stories, and all the gear is still there from all the Tangerine Dream records and things. And I think we took the record a tiny bit more kind of processed and electronic because of that, because of the studio we were in as well.
What is it about Berlin? Because you mentioned it, Bowie, Depeche Mode, and I mean even Harry Styles, he was here with you guys. I'm not sure if you knew that. All the artists are coming to Berlin to do a record. What is it about the city? Is it inspiring for you guys?
There's just a beautiful outlook on life. Like, no one pretends to be anything they're not here. There's a little cultural bubble for whatever you're into. So it feels like you don't have to be apologetic when you're in Berlin, whatever you're doing. Our neighbour upstairs in Kreuzberg was an actor, and we chatted to him every few days, and just so there's this real creative kind of heartbeat to the city. Also, I think just from a societal perspective, certainly the UK, we could learn a lot from you guys about how you address history and things. You know, it's like, you know, you're not trying to hide things from the past, and we as a country, I think a lot of countries don't know how to deal with their past and things, and I just think the way you guys live and deal with things is very inspiring, and a lot of the rest of the world could really take a lot from it. And so yeah, it was just on every level, and people are very unimpressed here,
yeah.
which we like, you know. Like, I think I think that just makes for a good society when people, you know, no one's too carried away. Everyone's like, no, you got to be a decent human being, and then you judge people elsewhere. So. Yeah, it was just what we needed.
It feels like other people are out doing things. People are being creative, and it makes you feel, well, I better do something. You know, if I'm going to hold on to society and stick with society, it's just really inspiring place to be.
The fact that you guys value art in all its forms is really amazing, because not a lot of places do. You know, I think it's getting squeezed, especially in the UK. You know, our money's so tight and everything, and the arts are just getting squeezed all the time. And I think it's held in high regard here, which is important, which is why you make such great, beautiful art.
And what's the thing you enjoyed most about living a few months in Germany?
We don't speak great German, but the language is methodical, and it has rules, and you can we found out what a radler was. We were in the pub, and somebody said radler, and I'm like, well, Radfahren, that's a cycle, a bike, there must... And of course it is, because in German there's nothing's to chance.
Yeah. In another interview, you talked about your Airbnb. And I thought, oh, you guys did the real dirty Berlin experience, right? Kreuzberg isn't quite luxury. What was your place like?
So yeah, we had quite a nice place booked, and then with 2 days to go, it cancelled. So we ended up in this basement flat with no windows. There was no natural light. It stunk. There was something was mouldy in the place. So we had 6 weeks. I get iller and iller as every day went on. My throat was closing
up.
But
for singing.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it felt...
It was the real deal.
It felt like we were doing what we would have done in 1987. It felt like it was a 1987 Kreuzberg experience, but it toughened us up so that when we moved to Mitte, we were like, we felt like princes, you know, we're like, this is lovely. There's something, see when you turn up somewhere just as your band and the three of us, it makes you feel like you're there for a mission. You know, it's like we're there, and that was our kind of like base camp, and it was horrific.
I think if it had been the other way around, where we stayed in a nice place first,
that wouldn't
have worked. No. So it kind of made us like...
You'd have had moody musicians.
They probably wouldn't have finished the record.
I really missed that Self-Made.
But Simon said we met our neighbour Reinhardt, I think it was, in Kreuzberg, came to say hello, and we just started to recognise people, and there was a coffee shop round the corner.
The market, we went to the market every weekend.
Yeah. Let's finally talk about Foutique. I'm not a native speaker, but I'm pretty sure this is not an English word, right? You came up with it. Talk me through it. What's the concept?
So it's a combination of the words future and antique. And it's just about, the sentiment of it is trying to cherish things as they happen now, rather than in 5-10 years thinking, wasn't that a lovely experience we had? Or a lot of everyone's happy memories are happy times in their life. You're not really aware of it when it's happening. And so the term is kind of, what are we enjoying just now that maybe in 10 years time we'll wish that we'd squeezed even more life out of? So it's trying to live in the present as much as possible and not let life just pass you by. It sounds a little hippie-ish, a little bit therapy speak, but I do think it's true, especially in this modern world. We're all so stimulated, and there's so much terrible news that gets fed to us, and it's just trying to find a little slice of joy in amongst it all.
I think that fits to the feelings I got, because I think the record seems very thoughtful and very contemplative and stuff. I was wondering, was that also something you felt during the album process? Yeah,
definitely. We spent a couple of years apart. I went and made some heavy metal with my other band.
I heard that.
Thank you. And so we were apart for a little while, and I think I was just kind of writing songs when I was in breaks from tour. So the songs were kind of coming out on piano and guitar, and I guess I ended up reflecting on our journey as 25 years in a band, you know, and just my life with my partner Francesca and my family, and how time means something. Time takes a different form when you're kind of in a band, because we judge our lives on album campaigns. So like rather than year by year, you think of every 2 or 3 years. So it was the first time where I've really reflected on the journey we've had as friends and as a band, and I wanted to kind of dwell on that for a minute and be proud of the fact we've survived, be proud of the things we've achieved, also be aware we can be better human beings. We still have a long way to go in our journey, but yeah, it's about trying to kind of, warts and all, discuss our journey as a band and what got us here.
10 is such an impressive number. Doesn't one automatically look back when you reach a milestone like that?
Our last few records, I've really wanted us to try and sound as unlike Biffy as we can, and on this one I think we enjoyed embracing who we are as a band and all our quirks.
That's so much the impression I got from the album, because I mean, as a listener and also as a fan, because when I heard your third single, I think it was True Believer, I was like, this is Biffy Clyro. It has so much from Ellipsis and also Only Revolutions. There's so much Biffy Clyro in it. The feedback on that song must have been amazing, right?
It's been good. It has been good. We were in the studio and we worked with the producer Jonathan Gilmore, who was a little younger than us and had followed our career to this point, and it was the first time we'd worked with somebody that had such a kind of deep knowledge of our history. So he kind of encouraged us to be us. I think his phrase was, let Biffy be Biffy. And that kind of emboldened us a little bit to kind of lean into that a little bit, where Simon said in the past we might have been a little bit scared to repeat ourselves. We were now quite happy to do that and maybe put in a little bit of Easter eggs, as you'd said, and a few lines here and there that maybe make people think back to earlier records and celebrate our past, you know, and to move forward, you know. So I think it was a really cathartic experience, really.
It's still nice when people like the kind of eccentric side of Biffy as well. We love that, you know, we love the big tunes, but see when we do something quirky, it's really nice when people are like, because we'll always have that, you know. I know some people prefer the crazy stuff, but you know, it's mostly about heart and soul these days, but we still love to do a rug pull, so it's the reception's been good.
AI's not going to come up with a concept like fatigue. You know, it can't sort of, you know what I mean? And I think the way Simon writes is from the heart and the soul, and it's about human emotions, and that's one thing is that I just suddenly realised AI will never replace that. It might come up with some nice tunes and some nice melodies, but it will never come up with a concept that is so deep and speaks to the kind of human condition. So, you know, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
Got a job for a while, yeah.
I do 100% agree on that.
Yeah. It's a worrying time, but it was just that suddenly realised it's like, well, it's not going to come up with something like that, it's fine.
Nice. When you think back to you guys when you released your first ever album, what was that time for you as a band, and how different is it now? What's the biggest difference? I mean, we're talking about 30 years, right?
Yeah. About 4 years ago, when we were, because we're only 24 now. You know, of course.
I saw you in school.
You will have done, actually.
It's a good question.
The beauty of back then was we had no idea what being in a band was. We literally just wanted to jump in a van and go and play music, and we had no career. We'd never thought about music as a career. We didn't know anyone that had ever been on tour. We didn't know anyone that had released a record. So see that first time we travelled from our hometown and went to a place and there was maybe 6 people there to watch the show. We were as happy as we could possibly have been. We thought we'd won the lottery at that point. So in a way, we've always tried to stay as innocent and kind of naive about it as possible, and kind of just be grateful, because there's a lot of talented people out there and a lot of amazing bands and amazing things that haven't had a 20-year career. But the purity of our intentions back then was really sweet, because we wanted to annoy, in the UK especially, it was all Britpop. Everyone wanted to sound like Blur or Oasis. And we were this angry band that would just play these shows amongst all these other indie bands. And we loved the fact that we were outliers. And I guess it was just discovering the world. You know, we travelled around the UK, being in cities we'd never been in. We came to Europe for the first time on that record, or I think on that record. Yeah. First time we spent a couple of days in Hamburg. I don't think we came to Berlin on that trip, and we just partied.
We hear bands talking about their 5-year plan, and we were like, what are you talking about? We didn't have a plan. Yeah. We were just getting on with it and enjoy doing it.
We like to tour in a certain way and have our certain comforts, and I think that's probably the biggest difference, because back then we just slept in the van. We didn't care, and it was just so beautiful. And I think any band or musician that's starting to do that, being in that position is helpful because it makes you realize if you really love what you're doing. You know, because some people want to make music, but actually it's the sacrifice can be too much. But I think we discovered very early, well, we were stupid enough to carry on with it.
Yeah, let's go back to Fatigue. You started your whole campaign with the song A Little Love, with the beautiful message, with a little love we can conquer it all. I was wondering, was that intentional that you start your album campaign with that bit? That's what you want to share with your fans first?
We're faced with so much like stresses and anxieties, and as I said earlier, just you see what humanity's capable of, and we're capable of some really dark stuff, you know, but we're also capable of really beautiful things, and I think it's really important that this album, especially after our last two albums, which were kind of looking outwards at the UK post-Brexit, at our world post-COVID, and I think as a reaction to that, this album was about trying to sing about the things that settle us and settle me as a human being, and even those close relationships that can be hard sometimes. That's what nourishes me as a human being, and I think it's what nourishes us all. You know, I think the love we feel from our families or our partners, it's what gives us strength to go through life, because life is a series of knocks. You know, it's not just, when I was young I used to think you would hit a part of your life where it just makes perfect sense, and as I'm getting older I realise that's not the case. So I think it was important to come out with something that felt positive, and even for us, having been through a tough time period, it was important that we came back in that with the unity of yeah, we've been through a tough time, but you know what, with a little love we can get through this, you know. So it was as much a mantra for us as the listener.
And I think it's a message a lot of people need right now. It fits, it's very, very fitting.
Well, thank you, Lena, thank you.
And I really love that it's not only about romantic relationships, but a big part of Fatigue is friendship, which is probably my most favorite topic ever. And I thought I speak with three friendship experts, because you guys have been through a lot. I mean, 3 decades of working together, being brothers and being friends. What do you do to keep this relationship going?
I mean, luck is not a strategy, and hope is not a strategy.
No.
And it's not, so I don't have an answer.
I think the great thing about us sharing our lives is together, we've grown in similar ways. So we're definitely different people now, but because of everything we share and the trust we have with each other, I think that's the main thing. We now appreciate that we don't see things the same way, but that's okay. Because I think when you grow up and you're in your 20s, you want to share exactly the same outlook, and maybe you're surprised one day if someone has a different perspective. And I think at this stage where that's our strength, is the fact we see things differently, and also every year we are friends and we're close, gives us more strength to go on, because it's a miracle to have a relationship this long. You know, a lot of marriages don't last this long, you know, some family relationships don't last this long, and I think we've hit that point where we kind of hopefully have the right mixture of respect for each other, but also we can rip the piss, you know, like, because again it's important to rib each other. It's important to be able to rip the piss, and especially with what we do, because our egos, you know, sometimes you can start to feel really pleased with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think if we didn't know each other from such a young age, then I think that could leave things off kilter. Have you got some friends from?
Oh, I have the best friends ever from school. Yeah, and that's why I love this topic so much. I think it's probably the most important relationship you can have.
Absolutely, and when someone knows you from school as well, you don't need to explain as much.
No,
you know, people, they know just by looking at you, and I think that's what we're lucky to have as well.
That's so important. And I really loved, I think in the documentary you released with your last record, I think you, James, said that you had to make him a brother to make Dynamics work. And I think that's such a lovely saying, because it is in fact your chosen family, right?
Yeah.
And I think you guys did well on that.
Yeah,
I mean, we're still sitting here.
Well, Simon and Ben need to moan about me and Simon. You know, it needs to be the 3 of us, and oftentimes Ben and Simon will agree about something that I don't, or vice versa. And
we spend more time with each other than we do anyone else as well. So that, you know, it's
actually I'm now thinking talking about it is a big part of celebrating it. In these interviews, it is always something you come out feeling really proud of. You know, it's really nice to kind of
friends for another 10 years. Friends for another 10 years.
You saw it here.
We'll re-sign the contract.
You just come out feeling really, feeling really nice about it. You know.
And I love that it's an aspect of the album, because people don't talk about it enough.
Yeah,
that's what I feel
it nourishes us so much. It's quite often our friends are more who we are than Well, not necessarily in your partner, but more in your family. Sometimes your friends really know what makes you tick.
Sticking with friendships, you guys have a lot of friendship tattoos, haven't you? A lot of matching tattoos, and isn't it like you get one tattoo for every record?
We do.
Yes.
Do you already have your fatigue?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's in the post. It is in the post. We've got plans.
Okay.
Which I can't share.
You don't want to share?
Well, we can't have somebody else get the tattoo before us.
I get that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But if you just imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're all going to shave our left eyebrow and get fatigue written under that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No, it's a key
simple.
part. It's kind of like renewing our wedding vows, to be honest. You know, it shows our recommitment to the band because I think what we realise now is we want to have our band relationship, but also a friend relationship. They should be slightly different. And I think when our friendships have got complicated, is when it either becomes just one thing or the other. You know, well. One thing, not the other.
Have you got your fatigue tattoo yet?
Yeah, but I can't show.
Yeah, because we'll copy it.
Okay, but then we come back to that in our next interview.
Yes, okay,
promise.
Okay,
and next up is probably your fatigue tour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you had quite a big festival summer. You played a lot of festivals. I saw you at Hurricane Festival in Germany. But what can we expect from the tour?
Well, we are working on a nice big production for the tour, so we're going to have a really glamorous show. It's going to be a fantastic show. I guess you're just going to get Biffy
fucking Clyro.
Biffy fucking Clyro, you know. I guess we make sure and make every show the best thing we possibly can. We'll obviously be playing a bunch of new songs, so people hopefully know them a lot more by that point. But we're really excited to get back. We were lucky to play Rock am Ring, Rock im Park, Hurricane Southside, and actually it was wonderful to spend time in the German fields.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it was one of our first gigs back was Rock am Ring, and that was just, we played with a little love the first time there. And so like, we've got this kind of relaxed feeling with Germany, so that we cannot wait. I think it's February we play the first shows, and we just miss playing Biffy headline shows. It's been a few years. And the last tour we did in 2022, I think, that had been like rescheduled 3 or 4 times because of COVID. So by the time we played the show and the fans had been there, it had already been rescheduled. So touch wood, this is just going to be plan A all the way. And
it feels like every night, every gig now is a celebration. After COVID, you're like, if it goes ahead, is it going to happen? So it feels like every night's a celebration now. So hopefully it'll feel a little bit like that.
I know, and it really, being away for a couple of years, it was so nice to be back on stage as well, and just remember that feeling of sharing, the communal feeling of singing the same songs and sharing that together. So we can't wait. I wish it was sooner. I wish it was sooner.
Me too. So much looking forward to that. Thank you guys for coming here today. It was a nice talk, and see you on tour. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Lena.
Thank you.